Joining me now, Republican strategist Gianno Caldwell and president of the San Diego and Imperial County chapter of the National Action Network, Shane Harris. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Gianno, Shane. Gianno, I want to turn to you first for this question. This professor at Drexel University, you know, his tweet, quite incendiary. He defended it last night on Tucker Carlson's show, but he said he tried not to vomit when he saw a woman on an airplane give up her first-class seat to a soldier in his uniform here. And the question, like I said in my introduction, it's very simple. I mean, from where I sit, what is wrong with him, Gianno? Is this the kind of fool we want teaching our kids?
I'm greatly disappointed by what I heard, especially considering the fact that the global war on terror has lost almost 1.5 million lives. So you got brave men and women who chose to step in the sake for danger, rather, because they don't know if they're going back home to their families. And you got families that obviously dedicated their lives for the benefit of our country as well. So when you get a professor that's willing to make comments like this, I don't think there's someone who should be teaching our kids. I certainly respect the fact that he's able to say whatever he wants to say on Twitter. That is his right. But that's something that we shouldn't have moving through our society as it did. And I see Tucker Carlson definitely took him to task for that comment.
Right, and as he should. Shane, let me turn to you. I mean, there's somewhat of a double standard, I think, when it comes to these college professors. Professors that come from a left standpoint, like this professor did, you know, they're allowed to say these things. They're protected because it's free speech. But then we see conservatives on campus, whether it's, you know, speakers that are coming from the outside or even conservative professors, they're not allowed to say anything.
Well, I think that, first of all, what I would say is I would never say this kind of thing to someone who has served in our service for this country, who is serving this country. And I would also not endorse the statement that he made. But what I do endorse is his right to make the statement. The fact that this man, who's a professor, probably tenured from my understanding, and someone who obviously as a citizen has the right to have his perspective via First Amendment, you cannot argue his right to say this and his right to make the statement. So what my challenge to Mr. Gian is, how can you criticize the right to make the statement? You may disagree with the statement, but you don't have to disagree with the right to make the statement. And that's certainly what I noticed with the professor's statement and what he had to say.
Brother Shane, my name is pronounced Gianno, but that's okay. I think that what you did is you're sticking to your talking points a little bit too hard. I first and foremost said that he has the right to make the statement. I just disagree with it. So that's where we differ. I think in terms of being on the same page, I agree. He should say whatever he wants to say. You can be an idiot if you want to be an idiot, but that doesn't mean you have to disseminate that same information to students, which if you look at some of his writings.
He has a different perspective. So now we're saying that people that have different perspectives in this country are idiots. I mean, come on, we got to be better than that. We got to be a better country than that.
And that's a fair statement. But when you look at some of the statements in which he made in his past, probably 90% of the population agrees that it's idiotic. It goes beyond what's reasonable. So if you're saying that no one can say that a statement is stupid, then that's inappropriate.
Who are saying things on the other side of this that are making statements that are egregious to others? I mean, we can't call people idiots because they have different perspectives.
Give me an example.
I mean,
give me an example.
Look at Mr. Trump, how he's going after many of our Muslim brothers and sisters around the country, how he's going after the immigration, build the wall, do this, the rhetoric, the divisive rhetoric that has divided this country. So yet we're talking about
I'm sorry, Brother Shane, but we don't know each other, but especially when you're talking about this build the wall rhetoric by President Trump, I'm not sure about you, but my grandfather, a small business owner in Chicago, he lost business because someone was using illegal immigrant help. So they underbid it and undercut him. So, I mean, obviously, that was disenfranchising our family. And when you talk about build a wall, President Obama, not build a wall, but our Muslim brothers and sisters, which I respect. And, of course, you shouldn't say we can't let somebody in because of their religion. I'm for that. But we need to take ISIS seriously. And for so long, especially under President Obama, we haven't done that. ISIS is now a $2 billion a year organization, and we're just now beginning to take it seriously. So I don't understand what you mean.
And Gentlemen, if I may jump in here for a second, I want to speak to Shane's point just for a moment here, because he said, you know, is it a crime? Should someone not be allowed to talk because they have a different perspective? Does it make someone an idiot just because they have a different perspective? Gianno, you asked for an example. I have an example here, and I want you both to speak to this, because this professor, this past Christmas, Christmas of 2016, he tweeted on the same Twitter account. He said, this is a quote, All
White
I want for
genocide.
Christmas is white genocide. I mean, to me, Shane, and you can speak to this, that to me is not simply a different perspective. That's an abhorrent thing to say. It's an awful thing to say. Certainly under our Constitution, he has a right to say it, but that doesn't make it simply a different perspective. That makes him an idiot.
No. It still is a different perspective. Because of the Constitution that we have, because of the First Amendment right that we have to speak up and believe in what we want to believe in, as long as it's not hurting or infringing on somebody else's rights. That right is available to every
you don't
citizen
see
in
you
this
don't see
country.
white you don't see
Brother
advocating
Shane,
for white genocide.
I don't support that, and I don't endorse that, but I endorse his right to believe that.
Right, but you don't see his advocating for white genocide as infringing on someone else's rights?
I don't see it in the sense of he's not going after any whites. He's not going to create a genocide. He's hoping, he's wishing, he has a perspective. He has a perspective on it.
Listen, Brother Shane. You know, I hear what you're saying,
Sorry,
but
it's
I
Reverend
think you're
Shane
being
to you, bro. It's
intellectually
not Brother
dishonest.
Shane. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Reverend Shane.
Yeah.
I think you're being intellectually dishonest in your commentary here. The fact that you say, he said, all I want for Christmas is white genocide, if that's not advocating for harming white people, look, I mean, if he said all I want for Christmas is black genocide, you would probably be saying that was super inappropriate and something that's a stupid comment. So I don't understand what direction you're looking to go here.
So when Dylan Roof walks into a black church and kills 8 people and the pastor dead, we say it's okay for him to go to trial and have his process and due diligence. But when this man who's a professor tenured and is a citizen in America makes a statement about something that is not even committed or not even done, he just has an opinion or a view on it, we saying he's an idiot. I'm trying to understand. We take the other guy to Burger King, but we take this guy
comparison
to the grave.
That's a false comparison, and you know that. Dylan Roof was a domestic terrorist. There's no question about that. You're talking apples and oranges here, and it's not really making that much sense.
Right. I mean, and let me just jump in here for 1 second because, Shane, I guess I want to speak to that point. I mean, inspiring violence is a crime in our country, too. I'm not advocating that this professor be treated like his words were a crime. I'm just establishing the fact that what he said was idiotic. It actually is astonishing to me that so many on the left are defending what he had to say, not his right to say it. Nobody here is arguing that he doesn't have a right to say it. But it's astonishing to me that so many on the left are advocating that he keep his position at Drexel University, that he's actually helping these students, widen their horizons in their different perspectives. And I don't see that.
And I advocate for him to keep his position at Drexel University. Because, again, you're talking about somebody outside of his job, off time, making a statement and a point and a perspective about what he saw on an airplane. He has the right to do that. It's his First Amendment right. We may not agree with it, but we can agree with his right to do it. And his job should not be infringed upon because he has a different opinion.
My question to you is, would you advocate for white racists to keep their job that makes racist comments against black people? Would you advocate for that as you have for this individual?
I would not. But you have to understand, racism against whites is unusual in this country. Blacks and minorities have gone through years and years and years of terrorism and slavery. You have a different perspective. You're dealing with two different sides of the playing field.
White racists. You support white racists that are racist against white people, but you don't support white racists that are racist against black people. That's essentially what I'm hearing you say.
Gentlemen, I hate to break this up. Gentlemen,
I'm not supporting racism on
gentlemen, if I may, we do have to cut this short. I'd like to continue this conversation. This is a great conversation. It does seem to be a little bit logically inconsistent to me that you support a man who advocates for white genocide, but you don't think that Donald Trump, who you claim is racist against black people, is the legitimate president. But we'll have to save that conversation for a different day.
He's not legitimate.
Reverend Shane, Giano, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
All right, guys.